Armored Core 6 is a game that I was very skeptical of before I even started to play it, because although I love big, epic, and cool mechs, like most people, I've never played an Armored Core game, so it was honestly a very frightening experience to start out on the 6th installment. All I've ever heard about them was that they're brutally challenging with controls that match the difficulty, but after putting in the time to get good, I can confidently say that I really enjoy this game a whole lot, and although it's a completely unique experience from literally any other game I've ever played in my entire life, my tears can confirm that this is indeed a From Software title, through and through. I immediately learned that playing your first Armored Core game is comparable to learning how to walk all over again. The second that I loaded in, the movement system just kinda slapped me right in the face and said, good luck. And from that moment onward, it was a rather steep but not horrendous learning curve that slowly got better and felt more comfortable. Once you play around for a couple of missions, you get a pretty good feel for the controls, and it really sells the power fantasy of piloting a massive robot. I guess you could call me Pacific, cause I really want to get rimmed. As you continue to get more comfortable, it truly turns into an entirely different game compared to when you first start playing. And sticking to From Software fashion, the camera will be the hardest enemy you'll face throughout your entire playthrough. Eventually, however, you'll learn to use it rather effectively, and as you zip from target to target all while flying, dashing, boosting, and dodging, the game turns into a really enjoyable high-octane bullet hell third-person shooter. So if that's not your thing, you need to stay far away from this game. Needless to say, the complex movement, camera, and combat systems are obviously the star of the show here. I've already stated that this is my first ever Armored Core game, so I'm not the messiah on what makes the series good, but it's pretty clear to see that this is the formula that makes the Krabby Patty. Without these core systems in place, this would honestly just be another boring mech game that gets brushed under the rug, but after only a couple of hours, I could tell that this was truly something special, like my friend Ed. Which is really exciting to me as a fan of mechs and all sorts of media, because this game could easily mark the resurgence of the mech genre. If you're looking for some variation in your gameplay, you've come to the right place, because let me tell you, there is a lot of customization to be had here. The build potential is through the roof in this game. For starters, there's dozens of weapons to be mixed and matched however you please. Every single mech you build allows you to have not one, not two, not even three, but 4 weapons. You get to choose between 2 handguns and 2 back weapons. There's also an upgrade that allows you to equip extra handguns in your back slot that you can swap in and out during missions. Just a few examples of weapons I've found so far include a plasma rifle that shoots explosive, railgun-esque projectiles, a shotgun that shoots explosive lasers, a Gatling gun, plasma rocket pods, homing missiles, and so much more. That's literally just the tip of the iceberg with what you can find in this game, and I haven't even talked about the actual mech building section yet. When building the body of your mech, you get to choose between 4 options. You get to pick a head slot, a core slot, which is just your chest, an arm slot, and a leg slot, as well as a custom paint job for each piece. For the most part, these just give you the typical stat buffs that you'll find in any other RPG. So for example, you can build your mech to be tankier, faster, or a hybrid. But where build crafting really comes into play is with the legs. There's 4 unique leg types to choose from. First up, you have the bipedal legs, which are just a hybrid type of leg that give average mobility and average defense, but don't really do anything special. Next, you have the reverse joint legs, which make you super mobile, but also pretty squishy. Then you have the tank legs, which give you several metric shit tons of health, but also make you much less mobile and don't allow the use of a dedicated booster. Last but certainly not least is my favorite leg variant, the tetrapod. These legs are in between the bipedal and tank legs, so they aren't super tanky or mobile, but they do allow you to hover for a rather long time in the air by using a small amount of your energy. Aside from weapons and legs, you have a few other parts like generators, which boost your energy load, and boosters that allow you to customize your mech's mobility. To tie everything together, there's a very in-depth weight and energy load system that you need to micromanage whenever you build a mech. For example, if you're trying to build a light mech with reverse joint legs, you probably won't be able to use dual Gatling guns because they would take you over your weight limit. You would need to stick to something like dual machine guns or dual SMGs. Overall, I think it's a pretty amazing system that allows you to min-max every single stat to get the perfect build for your playstyle. A new build I've been playing recently is Reverse Joint Mech with dual laser shotguns. It allows me to close gaps super fast and kill enemies with a quick laser blast. In the future, I really want to try a tetrapod sniper and a Gatling tank. The possibilities are endless and it's by far the best system in this game. On top of that, the game is designed to push you to change your playstyle and try out new things. For the most part, you can run through trash mods with just about any build imaginable, but when you reach a new boss, it really gets you thinking about the best way to approach it. For example, when I reached Baltius, I had to change my build several times before I was finally able to beat him. He had a really annoying shield and hit like a truck, so not only did I have to keep testing out new playstyles, but I had to also constantly try out new weapon and mech combos to see what would work best until I was able to finally beat him. Personally, I just think it's really great that the game constantly incentivizes you to try out new builds and gear you acquire as you progress through more and more missions. So once you've spent hours creating the perfect mech, you're finally able to take it out into the world, and I'll be damned if these environments are anything less than handcrafted by Jesus Christ himself. Aside from the graphics and visual effects just straight up being absolutely insane, awesome, and also amazing, the worlds that you'll explore are some of the most beautiful landscapes I've ever seen in gaming history. To be totally honest, I don't think that the trailers did this game any justice visually. I was really worried that there would be a lot of bland, generic, Arctic, and industrial environments that you typically find in mech games like this, but when you actually play the game, it's a whole lot better. Everything is just such a spectacle to behold, and the scale of your mech is captured perfectly through the tiny buildings and even smaller cars. Let's be real though, for a second, I never should have even had any doubts to begin with, considering this is the same people that made Elden Ring. Branching off the topic of Elden Ring, I really want to reiterate one last time that this is a From Software game down to its core. Do not come into this game expecting a silly little mech shooter that you can just play casually and breeze right through, because Armored Core 6 is anything but that. This game is absolutely brutal at the worst of times and mildly frustrating at best. As a matter of fact, the difficulty is really weirdly spread all over the place. The pattern seems to be that most bosses are really hard and everything else is relatively easy. Although I will say that the first boss took me several attempts, whereas I beat the second one on my first try, and don't even get me started on Baltius. I think that's really just a result of having the right build for the boss that I was fighting though. Some missions take 2 minutes, whereas others can take over 10 easily. There just seems to be no rhyme or reason to the madness, and it's kind of a gamble whether a mission is going to be really difficult or really easy, which is my only major complaint about this game. Overall, I'm thoroughly enjoying my time with Armored Core 6, which honestly makes me super happy because I really didn't know what to expect coming into the franchise completely blind. If you're looking for a challenge and you're into high-octane action, this game is a perfect fit for you, and there's absolutely no question whether or not you should purchase it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.